This new Dorito theory about relationships will show you whether yours is going to last or ultimately fail. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jesse Lyon, a licensed counselor who gives you the psychology behind pop culture. And today, we're talking about another theory. And of course, there's no research behind this theory, but as people do on TikTok, they come up with new little catchphrases and new little ways to illustrate life's idiosyncrasies and tidbits. And today, we are fixated on the Dorito, the utmost and the foremost in psychological theory and forethought, helping us understand and triangulate our real position in our introspective emotional self. I don't know, lots of words, things that are being said. Doritos, let's get into it. So what people are saying, just like if you remember the orange peel theory, maybe I'll link to it somewhere on this page over here, but there's an orange peel theory that if you ask your partner to peel your orange and they don't do it, your relationship is screwed. Same thing apparently is happening with Doritos, but this time it's about your relationship being addictive. And if you're in an addictive relationship, like the addiction we have with Doritos, it's really, really not a good thing. Now, the interesting thing is there is some really good psychological theory behind this. Now, it's not tested or researched, it's just pop culture, but that's what I'm here for. And that's why you ultimately follow the page. So before we jump into it, hit subscribe if you want to know the real truth about your mental health, dreams, and pop psychology. I'm here to help you out. Let's jump into it. We got to start with a conversation first about Doritos in general. Shout out to Patrick Who 77. Never seen them before, but they talk about Doritos. So we got to lay a foundation for why Doritos are addictive, and then that will inform our conversation about relationships in just a second.
The truth about Doritos and why they're so damn addictive.
They really
These
are,
bad boys were invented in 1964 and debuted in Disneyland, California. But through the years, they added a shit ton of ingredients to make you addicted, like a drug.
Back then, I think they put 11 ingredients in these Doritos, and now it's, I think, up to 30 ingredients, different flavors, that just make it taste like you're dipping a taco with hot wings into ranch dressing.
Oh yeah, they do, baby, and it tastes so good.
Corn, canola, and sunflower oil are very high in omega-6s, which are highly inflammatory for the body. The next toxic ingredient is monosodium
Flame me up, baby. I'm ready.
glutamate, which is MSG, which is an excitogen that tricks your brain into thinking that the food is tasty when it's actually not. Look at that, natural and artificial flavor. So they're even telling you that it's artificially made. But we got it again, artificial.
So you get the idea. Shit's bad for you. Don't put it in your body because it tricks your brain into thinking it's tasty when it has literally zero nutritional value to it. That's why you can eat a whole bag and still be hungry, because it excites the flavor receptors and the feelings of goodness inside of your brain, but it's just eating styrofoam, basically. I mean, I guess there's corn in it technically, but you're not getting any nutrients out of it. So perhaps your relationship is experiencing something similar as well. It's addictive and you get feel-good feelings, but it's not actually satisfying. How can we tell? How do we know? It brings us to the Dorito theory of relationships, which TikTok has so effortlessly placed in the palm of your hand through the FYP page. This comes from Celeste.aria. I want to give credit where credit is due. I think she explains it pretty well. And I want to dissect this together because it does, I already said it. It brings up some good points.
One thing I can't stop thinking about is called the Dorito theory. I learned about this and now I see everything a little bit differently. It goes like this. The idea is that only experiences that aren't truly satisfying are maximally addictive. So imagine eating Doritos. When you eat a Dorito and finish your bite, you're not fully satisfied. It's not the same as eating a steak or eating a really satiating food that's high in protein, and that after your bite, you really feel sort of that fullness and that warmth of satisfaction. Eating potato chips is addictive because the peak of the experience is kind of when you're tasting it and not after. There's kind of nothing that exists actually once the experience is done. And the experience itself is not satisfying in the end. It's kind of the moment of having is the satisfying part.
And ultimately, when it comes to addiction, she's right. The whole point of addiction, and when I'm thinking about it as a counselor sitting on this side of the therapy room, I'm thinking, what is this person's brain trying to accomplish that is not getting accomplished? So they're using something that's not supposed to be there in that place. For example, I had a professor explain it beautifully. We're going to get back to the video here in a second and solve all your relationship problems, but I got to illustrate this. The professor said when you're talking about substance abuse, right, you got to break down that word. Abuse comes from ab and use. You're using something, abstract, away from, for its non-intended purpose. So you're using something for its non-intended purpose. Abuse, that's where the word comes from. So if I were to sit on my desk here, well, the desk is meant to hold papers and my computer, not for my ass. So I would be abusing the desk. Alcohol, for example, is not meant to help you with your depression. It's not meant to help you cope with the stress of work. It's not meant to help you think and forget about the difficulties in your relationship. It's meant to help you celebrate and have a good time with your friends, to connect, right? Because that's what it's been used for. So if you start to use it in ways that it's not meant to use, you're abusing that substance. And that's where a lot of people fall into alcoholism. Same thing for Doritos. You are hungry. You need nutrition. Doritos do not provide you nutrition, but they provide you the sensation of being excited, like taste bud wise. And that is an abuse of your taste buds and nutrition. The same thing can happen in relationships.
I think this applies to a lot of different, very addictive things in life, like the infinite scroll on TikTok. You're never satisfied after you engage in the behavior. It's really just that moment of hitting the scroll is when the dopamine comes. Now that I have a word for it, now that I have a framework for it with Dorito Theory, just this idea that things that aren't actually satisfying are the ones that are maximally addictive, and that's why I want them. I think I can identify those areas and try to avoid them more effectively. Imagine the trade-off between eating an amazing steak versus eating an entire bag of potato chips. There's no turn-off mechanism in your brain for the potato chips, whereas with the steak, there might actually be. You're not going to overeat. It seems...
Eventually you get the meat sweats, right? But I could eat 5 bags of potato chips. But it's not going to make me feel good in the end. It's only good while you're still eating it. The drinks are only good while you're still drinking them. The next day, the next month, you're going to feel like trash. And that's the difference. You eat a good steak, you have some nice nutrition with some good green beans on the side, maybe a nice lump of mashed potatoes. You're going to feel good the next day. And so I struggle with this when I talk to people about their mental health. I tell them, I'm like, doing the good thing in the moment is not going to feel as good as doing the bad thing in the moment. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, a healthy relationship probably will not feel as satisfying as your toxic ex-boyfriend or girlfriend because it's good for you. That's the point. Now, I promise you it will feel better and you'll feel happier long term, but it's like buying things on debit versus credit. You can buy stuff on credit and it feels good right now until the bill comes from Chase Bank, and you're not going to feel happy about that. You're going to feel stressed. But if you save the money, put it on debit, where you're actually paying for it with something that you have, you can enjoy it and it's going to feel good long term. You might not be able to buy that crazy expensive thing that you couldn't afford anyways, but you're going to live in reality. Toxicity, addiction is a way for your brain to space out and not live in reality. And ultimately, you can only go so far before that comes crashing down around you. And the worst of it is when that happens inside of a relationship.
A little bit intense, but I'd recommend actually trying to just remove anything that you think falls into Dorito category, and curious which types of things you guys would classify as under this Dorito theory.
I would actually love to know what you guys think falls under Dorito theory for you as well. And I've got a couple notes. Because not only do you have to understand Dorito theory from your frame of reference, but you have to understand Dorito theory from the other person's frame of reference too. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's easy for us to become addicted to things that aren't satiating, but it's also easy for somebody else to manipulate our behavior and force you into doing things that you really know you shouldn't be doing because they start to filter in these toxic and addictive types of relationship behaviors. This is number one. What a toxic partner will do to you is they'll give you just enough to get you excited, but never enough to fully commit. And so you'll see this. You'll see partners who are just really romantic and just satiating all of those, well, I guess technically not satiating, but just really fulfilling all of those fantasy desires inside of your head, but they never commit to you. They never open up emotionally. They never are truly vulnerable with you. They never do spend the night and cuddle in the morning the next day. It's those kind of little tidbit bites that keep you hooked. And somebody who is skillful, like dark empath, narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, antisocial, whatever terms you want to use. Some of those are derogatory terms. So listen, you get it. But they will do those things to get you to give them what they want, which is adoration, which is time, which is money, which is your investment into them, right? And so they know how to do these things, and so they'll use that. And if you're not aware of Dorito theory or basic attachment theory, you're going to fall into that trap as well. And so I tell people this, like I said, all the time, pay attention. If you are used to Dorito theory and addictive type of behaviors in your life, I want you to start making some intentional decisions to do the thing that doesn't feel good. And if you start to hack your brain and switch it around to where you purposely choose things that don't feel good, but you know psychologically that those things are going to be better for you long term, you can start to move that path over. And listen, the same type of addictive behavior will sabotage you in this moment. And I'm going to teach you why. Because you're used to that instant dopamine hit, that serotonin satisfaction that you get when you do the thing you're not supposed to, right? Driving too fast on the highway, playing video games, scrolling the FYP too long. You're going to expect your life to get better too quickly. This process takes patience. And so today, you may not be able to fully fix all of your Dorito behaviors in your life, but you can choose one thing and do the right thing tonight, right? Instead of trying to get rid of the Doritos, maybe just try and also eat a piece of broccoli. Eat some asparagus. Have some mashed potatoes instead of just the fried potatoes, right? Eat something good. One step at a time is the real track toward progress. A lot of these gimmicks, a lot of these things online will tell you, oh, success in 4 weeks or less, right? Real success doesn't look like that. And it has to be slow because your brain needs time to shift who you are, to shift your personality, something that's happier and healthier and will ultimately bring you peace. I told my wife this, and I'm sure you're going to click away from the video right about now because this is getting to the really deep stuff. This is going to sound really silly, but I did, when I proposed to my wife, I told her, I had a little speech and I was so nervous. I can't remember what it was. Ask me the story sometime. I did propose to my wife on the top of a castle overlooking the Mediterranean in Greece. It was pretty magical. There's pictures floating around. I'm sure someone will show you in the Discord server. But I told her in my little speech as I knelt down on my knee, I said, listen, love is a commitment, not a feeling. Infatuation is a feeling. And that spark is something that you have to cultivate and grow and blow on and kindle and really put energy and investment into to make sure that it grows into the fire that's going to keep you warm when the nights get really cold. And that is all about commitment. And so I said, baby, I love you. And I feel that fire of passion now, but it's more than that. And I promise to love you and be committed to your best forever, no matter what. And that was what I said to her because I knew even then that real love, like real relationship, is about commitment, not just the infatuation. And so I hope to pass that on to you. I hope to hear your comments in the section down below. What are the Doritos in your life that you need to get rid of? And do you agree? Is love a commitment, not just infatuation? And how can we step into that together as a community? That's all I got to say about that. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.